Welcome to DJNTV and Tuesday Night with Ben Stowe. Now introducing the one and only Ben Stowe.
Yeah, baby! Yeah.
Or it could have been 2013. 2013 was a good year, but it wasn't as good as 2014, because you know what happened in 2014? It was our first show.
I don't remember what happened in 2014.
It was our first show. We did our first
Oh, it was. Yes, it was. I remember 2014.
Yes, that was our very first time of getting together and doing a show. And people, those tens of people watched it and they were like, hey, this would be really good if you guys, did a regular show. So
tens of people.
Tens and tens of people watched it. So here we are, lots of years later, and someday we're going to hit those dozens.
I'll take it. Yeah. I'll take it when we get it.
We're excited for that. So thank you.
Doing a show on rain, I have to find my favorite rain picture, which I'm looking for right now. Just so you know,
the rain stuff going. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We're just we're getting things put together and such. We had I had a little glitch on the software side of it here. So for some of you probably saw the intro a couple of times, and I apologize for that if you're watching it out on Facebook. But sometimes things happen. Good evening, Bill. I see Bill's there. Matt, Robin, Howie. Thank you for being with Ben. Excellent. So we got folks joining us tonight because it's a rainy night here in Minnesota tonight. Actually, in Ben's neck of the woods, it's probably getting ready to snow.
Probably.
Yeah.
I love a rainy night.
They were showing the band of snow, and it's a little east of you there, but yeah, they're expecting some accumulation up there. But it's a rainy night, and I thought, what a great time for us to have a discussion, a little bit covering how to deal when it comes to rain and gear, and some things that we can do to hopefully protect our gear and protect ourselves when it comes to doing these outdoor events that some of us are going to be running into in 2021.
Well, I do think we will have a lot of outdoor stuff in 2021. I think we'll have a lot of indoor stuff too. I'm just pulling together a couple of pictures for you here that will hopefully people will find useful and entertaining. But should I show this one or shouldn't I show this one?
Should I?
I don't know.
Can I don't know.
I feel like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. We've never done like an R-rated show, so tonight's the night, I think. So.
Oh, well, then we better call Big Daddy so he can get us properly. He can use the adjectives to describe such a profane show.
Well, it just reminded me of this one event, and I think I'll just show the picture. And if we lose all our viewers right away because it's such an offensive gesture, then what are you doing DJing? First of all, I mean, but anyway, this is why we need to be prepared for the rain, because sometimes the weather will just give you the middle finger, and that was exactly how we felt when that storm hit us. It was just, we looked at the radar, we're like, yeah, it's just giving us the bird right there.
It's right there, yeah, there it is.
There you go. That's as profane as I get. Sorry to disappoint.
That was pretty offensive. I feel slightly violated. Certainly offended.
Here, take a look. Let me share a video clip from the event. I think having this garbage can that you'll see here, I think it summarizes just how hard it was raining.
Yeah, that's a little bit of water coming down there.
That's what I mean. It was like the weather just gave us the middle finger. We're like, really? I mean, it wasn't like a sprinkle, it was a full-on downpour. So I think the simplest way to protect yourself from the rain is to not be in it. As common sense as that sounds, pay attention to the weather as best you can and plan appropriately. Obviously that doesn't always work, right? And I put together a very quick collection of some horror pictures of some of my events in the rain. One thing, of course, we always practice a culture of safety. So that is a really big thing. So if you are potentially going to have to work in the rain, let me find this picture here. I think safety is essential. So we did outfit some of our stagehands with safety gear in case the water got too high. So,
yes, yeah, that would work. That would I feel safer just looking at that picture.
Yeah, water wings. I mean, again, safety first. Big fan.
Yeah.
So basically, number one, try to avoid the rain. It's no fun getting wet. But two, if you can't avoid it, and your gear does get wet, step one, make sure it's powered down. Or if you have IP rated equipment, which is designed to operate in that, then that's probably fine. But in the case, let's just assume that some of your equipment's not sound equipment, that sort of thing. Is very little that's IP rated. So immediately power it off, let it thoroughly dry. If it's just water, you're probably going to be okay, as long as it didn't get in a flood per se, again, I got some good pictures here of just some less than ideal days. Of course, sometimes you have to work in the rain. There's just no two ways around it. And you can see how much fun I had doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was actually before the show. So after it got done downpouring on us, then it got really hot. So it was like working in a greenhouse. And again, you could see the look on my face.
Yeah,
I
you
was
looked happy.
Thrilled.
You were thinking, this is why I do sound. I could see it on your face. I could.
Yeah, I was just thinking, when I signed up, they said,
travel
sex,
the world,
drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah, have some fun. You're young.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll. None of that's true.
Yeah,
working in greenhouse conditions. That's what it is.
Yeah, sweat.
But in the winter, of course, we don't have to worry about that. Then we have to worry about loading trucks in minus 30, hydraulic lines breaking, stuff like that.
But at least the rain is a different thing then.
Well, here's an event. This is a festival, and here you can see my PA hanging in, and I am sitting in a tour bus at the front, looking out the window. And obviously you can see the place is kind of a ghost town, because it wasn't just the rain that was at issue. We were expecting some more severe weather, but just sit there and
watch
it go, So, anyway, those speakers at least are reasonably tolerable to the weather. So what about everything else? Well, we keep tarp kits under the stage. We keep tarp kits on the stage readily to deploy. Very quickly, everybody understands what their job is, who's assigned to the drum kit, who's assigned to this, who's assigned to that, so that you can have performance go right up until the point where you can't. You can really milk as much time out of the schedule as you can and give the fans and the promoters what they want. And then as very quickly as possible, get stuff covered. So that's, I think the lesson here is have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait until it starts raining and then say, oh no, it's raining. What am I going to do?
Right.
Have a plan and put your plan into place. And in this case, my plan was to just watch my, PA get rained on and cry and die a little inside. But then very shortly we were right back to running. And this is a picture that was less than ideal, but it kind of shows you, look, the place is packed again. I mean, it's amazing. As soon as the rain stops and the sun comes out, everybody just, they're right back there. Yeah. The festival is packed, and I discovered a pocket of water inside one of the speaker handles. This is a drum monitor on the stage, and I wasn't happy about that. But it rained so hard that there just wasn't really any way to prevent. I think that water might have got in there before the stuff got covered. It really got to us really quick. So
now in a situation like that, would you go out there and try to get that water out now, or do you wait until the performance is done, power it off, and then get the water out of there?
That's an it depends question.
Okay.
If you could get up there and a band wasn't playing, or you could get up there without interrupting the show, because again, at the end of the day, first of all, that's a plastic handle. It's completely molded. I was not worried. The water was not causing any damage to that handle. So that would be a low priority. But if we could, you go up there and you grab, there's always an abundance of towels around stages. And, if you're doing, as obviously most of our viewers are DJs, you don't have those kinds of things. So you have to think ahead and, you have to bring those things, right? You're every part of the crew. So to say, well, what am I going to do if my gear does get wet? How am I going to get it dry? Do you want to have some kind of, desiccant for the stage or something? Do you, that sort of thing? Just depends on what you're doing. Have some towels, And that's probably what we did shortly after discovering this, was grabbed a towel and jammed it in there and soaked up the water, you know. In this case, it was not anything electronic that was getting wet or exposed to the water. The drivers and the inside of the cabinet were dry and they were protected, so it wasn't cause for concern, but it would be situational. If the electronics are getting wet or the drivers are wet, the very last thing you want to do with wet drivers is make sound. That vibration with a wet driver, that cone will just disintegrate.
Oh my.
So, you know, if your drivers got wet, it's just really, you got to shut them down, you know. And same with your electronics. If your electronics are powered off and they're wet, let them dry out. They're probably okay. You know, particularly if it's just clear water. If they're on and they get wet, well, that's very problematic, you know, and rain is not distilled water. It's full of all kinds of impurities and things that cause ions and you know, ionization, whatever. So yeah, anyway. Made for a good picture. I knew 5, 6, 7 years down the road we'd do a show about it, and I'd need that picture.
You need that picture, exactly. You're like, I'm glad I jumped my bottle of water on a speaker. That way we got it. So we kind of looked at some speakers, and I want to get back to speakers, but let's kind of take a step back. We're plugged into an outlet on the side of a building. We don't know if it's a GFI or anything to that effect. What would you recommend, not knowing exactly what that outlet has for amperage, for anything really, because it's an old whatever, how can we protect ourselves the most in situations where there could be water later?
Well, I'm going to shoot from the hip on this one, and it's going to hopefully sound like common sense stuff. But number one, make sure that all of your cables have good grounds and that your cable jackets are in good repair. Number two, make sure that no conductive parts are getting wet. You know, if the jacket is in good repair and the jacket is wet, and you have a SJOW or SJOOW or SOOW type cable, W, you know, in the water resistant, you're likely just fine. You know, but I think the obvious thing there is to make sure that your equipment is in good repair and is properly grounded, and that you don't have anything conductive touching the water. If you think you might, if you have a cable that has cracks in it, or you have exposed conductors laying in the water, that water may very well be energized, and you really need to think very hard about what you're going to do next, because going in there to get it out of the water that may be the very last thing you do. You know, so. Again, stop and think, you know, sort of like the scenarios. We have a lot of friends and viewers that are EMTs, and I can't say that I've ever been a first responder or a medical technician, but my dad was. And, you know, I know stories where there's down power lines and you can't get to the person without endangering yourself. So don't do that, you know. Figure out how you're going to shut that power off or get that cord out of there, and how you're going to protect other people from getting into that area if you think you might. But don't put yourself at risk or others, you know. So number one, you can avoid that, like I said, by having equipment in good repair and having proper grounds and you know, having equipment that will be water resistant. As for whether or not it's a GFCI and you're not sure, you can get those little 3-prong testers for $5-6 that have a GFI tester on them. And it's basically just a little button you push and it will trip if it's a GFI. I have one in my toolbox about 30 feet from here. I'd love to show you, but there it is, and here we are.
So if there isn't one, or we find out that, is there a way for us to add some sort of a device that will allow us to have that protection in case we have water and cords that are damaged that we don't know of, and they get wet, and next thing you know, we have a short?
Dang it, I have one of those too. Yes, it's a portable GFI or GFCI, whichever you prefer, a ground fault circuit interrupter or ground fault interrupter. But a portable GFCI is basically a device with an inline GFCI. I bet I could find a picture on the internet and just forget that I told you I have one that you can't see. Just pretend that didn't happen.
No, that wasn't paying attention anyway, so, you know.
Let's be honest. They just watch this for the drinking game. So
yeah, they pretty much do that, and they're waiting for the next ice cream shipment. And I've heard some people are really, really sad and disappointed, but they'll get over it.
You know, me too. My wife actually just surprised me the other day by buying an ice cream maker. So
whoa,
little home ice cream maker. Just when I thought all was lost, And our marriage no, our marriage is great. I'm just kidding. But all right. So, although I will say this, people have said, recently, I think the world is very much opening up, which remind me to tell you about something really sweet as we get back to work. Just remember those words, back to work. It's coming in a bit.
Okay.
But, the world is very much opening up right now, and we are slammed with calls and inquiries. And by the way, we love that. We love hearing from you. So thank you for that. But people have said, gosh, I feel really bad. I'm sorry. I'm probably taking you away from your family. Hold up. Listen, I've been working from home for a year, not just not traveling, but working from home per our governor's orders. So I have not only been not on the road, but I have been in the same house 24/7 with my family for a year. Trust me, they don't mind. They're ready. They're ready for me to be taken away. I think they're ready for me to travel. They're ready for me to take your calls. So don't worry about interrupting family time. We just had a lifetime's worth of that in the last year. And we felt very blessed and very grateful for it, but I think they're ready for a break. So portable GFCIs, here is an example. And you can see it's got the little GFCI in line, just plugs in, and then you've got a little triple tap on the end. This device here will function just like a GFCI that's installed in the wall, and it will give you that protection. And I carry one, and again, I've got one. I just don't have it here in the room with me.
No.
Or do I? No, I probably don't. But it's a really good thing to have for that reason.
So those are a couple of things that will help protect when it comes to our electrical side. Now, if we have a situation where we're out and we're doing some things and we need to cover because maybe there's just a brief shower coming through, we can see on the radar a little shower.
Yep.
Is there a way for us to be able to cover our speakers in a way that's not going to damage the speakers from heat and such, and yet be able to, something we can use to cover them for that 10-minute little rain event so we can be ready to go when that event is over?
Well, it's kind of a slippery slope that you've asked me there about damaging things with heat, because obviously it depends on how much ambient heat you have and direct sunlight, that sort of thing. In 10 minutes, I don't think there's much you can do to damage them, but if you're in Arizona, well, you don't have rain anyway, what am I talking about? So never mind. Except that one time a year,
One storm.
Yeah, what do they call those? Haboobs? Is that right? Is that the name? Arizona Friends? Somebody help me out. I think that's what they're called. I might have just made that up, though. Or I might have been tricked by an Arizona friend.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyway,
like the snipe hunting.
All of our tarps are black because show business. Mm-hmm. Everything's black, right? That would be the worst thing if you're worried about heat, and we're not. We're not worried about our gear getting that hot in a 10-minute span or even in a couple hours. That tarp does get hot, but we're also not trying to operate the equipment during that time. So I think the obvious thing is go with a lighter colored tarp. Certainly something that would, and in fact, our tarps have a black side and a silver side. We could just flip it around and use the silver side if that was a concern, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So that would, reflect some of that sunlight and dissipate some of the heat. But again, it's like I said, a slippery slope. It depends. I don't think in 10, 15 minutes time, you're going to heat your gear up to the point though where it cause damage. But again, common sense, right? I live in Minnesota. I might not know what I'm talking about when it comes to heat. So
yeah, it's we have the 30 below almost where we have the other. So
yeah, I can tell you what to do in the cold weather, which by the way, we did a cold weather show a few years ago.
Yeah,
I sat in a parka in a heated studio and sweat for 40 minutes just to bring that show to you. So please go watch it.
That was a great show because we had to ask so many questions and I was making questions up,
John could see I was dying.
Oh yeah.
He could see I was just struggling so bad.
Tell us your life story one
before
more
you
time.
go.
Yeah. Now, when was the first time you remember 20 below zero, Ben? How about 30 below zero? Yeah, it was a great show. Great show.
I'll tell you what, if you're from Arizona and you've never experienced that, let me just tell you, once you get past 10, it doesn't really matter. You get below 10 below, 30, 40, 50, whatever,
I think someone in the chat room here is referring to the Scrim speaker covers. Now, are those water resistant?
Probably not.
Okay.
Not to say that they couldn't be. And I think there's a few different things at play here. Certainly having something that allows water to kind of, duck off the back, and my reference is to like the animal, a duck, right? How a duck sort of sheds water.
Yeah, rolls off.
That would help, keeping that. But it could make it worse. If the scrim soaks up water, it's now holding that water against the speaker. So I would say it depends on the scrim, really, at that point. There are speaker covers that are designed to be used outdoors. They have kind of a mesh front and, a vinyl side, that sort of thing. Ultimately, really, the box is probably going to be okay. It's either composite or it's wood with with paint on it. The vulnerable parts are the grill, the drivers behind the grill rather, and then the electronics. If you keep the water out of there, life is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So which potential? I've got my powered speaker. You mentioned, of course, that the cones get wet. There can be some severe problems. Which side is going to be more of a concern? Getting the back wet when most of that seems to be somewhat sealed up except for the jacks, or getting water on those cones?
Hard to say which one's more important, because which way do you want to die, right? But I will say that, powered speakers with fans, the fans can suck water in. So particularly if it's hot and your speaker's running hard and then all of a sudden it rains, that it's possible that fan could suck the water into your circuit. I would say you want to protect them both. And it's just a judgment call. A light rain isn't probably going to hurt anything, and again, don't take that as the gospel, truth that nothing can die in light rain. Obviously I can't make that kind of statement, but I'm just saying a light rain, if your stuff gets sprinkled on, I wouldn't panic. And that's why I showed some videos early on of just a deluge, that's a problem. You just can't have that kind of water getting in and on your stuff, So no, I don't know that I would care to pick which one I'd want to protect more. Mm-hmm. I will say that most speaker grills make it very difficult for water to get in. If you have a lower cost speaker and it just has a perforated steel grill and there's nothing behind that, it's probably easier for water to get in. But most grills are a couple layers. If you look at them, they're designed to prevent water from getting in. And in fact, we took our speakers home after that festival where you saw them just getting, blasted with water, high winds. And, it's like a pressure washer at that point. We took the boxes apart when we got them back to the warehouse 3 days later, and we drained water out of all kinds of places that water had gotten into, but the cones were perfectly dry. So the drivers were protected by the grill, got in everywhere else, but it didn't matter. Right. So that the stuff that was vulnerable was protected.
So the fans, you've mentioned the fans a little bit. So on a speaker, because someone mentioned, Bill threw out the idea of, and saying it's not recommended, but I've seen this, trash bags putting over a speaker. If you've got can't
hurt.
But if you'd have that fan, the fan and such, that could be a major problem.
Well, here again, when I say it can't hurt, I should walk that back and say, well, it could. You're right. If you're running the speaker and it's trying to cool itself, so common sense, right? Mm-hmm. If you have a fan and it's sucking in air, it's doing so because it needs to cool the speaker. Putting a bag over it. So again, which way do you want to die? Do you want to die from the heat or the wet? So my general line of thinking is that if it's that wet, unless you're doing Woodstock, you probably don't have an event anymore. Mm-hmm. So just shut the speaker down for a little bit, put the trash bag on it. They're cheap, easy to use, easy to throw away when you're done. Yeah. If you're worried about heat, use a white one. And then when, the things get rolling again, take the trash bag off, turn the speaker back on and rock and roll again.
You're ready to go.
So, here again, wouldn't be a bad idea to keep some large trash bags in your trailer or your truck or, your gig box or whatever you do. And just say, okay, well, this bag fits over my speaker. A little gaff tape or whatever, bungee cord to seal up the bottom of it, and life is good. Because when there's rain, sometimes there's also wind, right? Mm-hmm. So if the wind blows your trash bag off, well, it didn't do you any good, And then you're the guy out there in the rain trying to put it back on, and you end up looking like, well, me in that picture.
Well, and the trash bags are, they're very functional for a lot of different things. If you take your little scissors, you snip out the corners and a little spot on the top, and all of a sudden you've got some evening attire. Take the gaff tape and put a little, belt to it. You could look sharp with your black trash bag.
It's very possible.
Very possible. Let's talk lighting here, and then we'll wrap things up a little bit. Lighting. is different from one standpoint because there are lights there's more light options that are IP rated.
There are. And because, they are a little bit more likely to be exposed, whether they're lighting up architecture or terrain, or they're being used outside, or increasingly they're hung in the air. And that is much harder to get to. Again, if you looked in that picture, pretty much the only thing hanging out there in the air getting wet was the PA. We flew the lighting truss in and then tarped it. And that was, again, takes time, right? So you have to sort of try to beat the rain or whatever. And we did lose a few lights one show. And here's the problem. In the good old days, lights were incandescent lamps. And whether it was your PARs or your conventional fixtures or your crowd blinders, everything was a conventional lamp with no electronics. It was just a matter of voltage. And, little water wasn't the problem. Now, your Lecos or ellipsoidals are $1,500, $2,000 a piece, and they're color mixing LED with electronics in them. Your crowd blinders are chip on board LED with electronics in them, and your PARs are LED with electronics in them. So a little water can cause a lot of damage very quickly in that case. That's where having IP rated fixtures will save you from a lot of heartache. And notably, the only fixture we lost at that time was the blinders, which were chip on board LED. And there was no IP rated version available at the time. So, and the part we lost, power supplies. Go figure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's without an IP rated, they were going to be susceptible.
Yep. Another, $800 in repairs later, and our blinders are back online.
Back up. So if I do not have IP rated lights and I want to put my lights out on some trussing to the side, whatever, I'm thinking that, okay, so I might have some rain tonight. LEDs produce enough heat that it can't be something that we're going to put bags over top of the lights to some extent, that we basically cover it with a bag and such and leave the lens open. There's enough heat being produced where that could be problematic.
Run that by me. Say that again.
So if I'm trying to cover the light with a plastic bag to keep everything except the lens covered,
you're probably okay. In the LED realm, again, if it's 110 degrees outside, common sense, right? Common sense. You're probably okay. But I can't make that blanket statement. It's situational. You really have to just sort of see what's going on there, see how hot that fixture's getting. Heat is also really bad for electronics.
Yeah.
So generally, it's cool when it's raining. So, you could have some kind of a convection cooling effect from the rain hitting the black plastic bag that's on there. It could balance itself out, but I'm really reluctant to just go out and say, yeah, you'll be fine. Can't say for sure.
Moving head fixtures. Now, has that there was a couple of companies that were showing prototypes of this a few years back. Have the IP rated moving heads moved into the mainstream enough where something that should be on our radar?
There are some really good ones out there, and they do a really good job. We've taken pressure washers to them for demos and things to show how good they are. They're not the majority of what we see, but I guess it depends. If there's somebody who's doing a lot of outdoor events, then it really makes sense, Probably more of what we see are people, I don't want to say that. I was going to say, I want to say people making calculated gambles, but I think it's both, It really depends, what you're doing and what your plan for recovery is and what your budget is. And if you're going to be using outdoor moving heads a lot, I would get IP rated ones, if that's, then your level of worry goes down a lot.
Sure.
So, and the cost difference could be made up for fairly quickly with repair bills, as in the case of our blinders.
Yeah. Well, one repair would definitely cover a lot of expense. That's for sure. And of the embarrassment of all of a sudden, oops, my light show's gone. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it cost. We lost two of them, and it was $400 a piece to fix them, and we did the repair in house. That was just the cost of the parts.
Yeah.
So, it can add up quick. Now, again, the fixtures, I don't know, it was $1,000 a piece or something, but still, we just spent 40% of the value of the fixture to fix it.
Mm-hmm. To get it back.
If we'd have bought an IP rated one for 1,200, we'd have been 200 ahead, So
Doing well with that. So excellent. Well, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up. We went our half hour here tonight, Ben. I wanted to keep it about that with tonight's show. Thank you guys for being.
I have a great reveal though. I have to show you.
Well, yeah, I was going to thank everybody and then I was going to come back to your.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Do your thing.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight out on Facebook. We had a great crowd, Facebook and YouTube this evening. But before you guys go, Ben had one last thing he wanted to share with us.
Well, and the reason I want to share it with you is because this was something we've talked about on several shows. It's been suggested by several viewers. It's been brought up many times by you and by others. My good friend Alan hounded me about it for years. I can't read lips, John. Sorry.
DMX ice cream machine?
Next week. My wife just bought it. I haven't got around to DMXing it yet, but I might because it actually wouldn't be that hard. So it is something better. And I'll tell you what, viewers, I like I said, I know this is something you've been waiting for a long time. And I'm sorry that it took a pandemic for us to finally get around to doing it. But I think the timing is prescient. And I think it led to the greatest name ever because as Alan suggested some clever names for it. We couldn't use any of those.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. And I would say, Alan, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because you know why. You know darn well why we can't use those names. So, so we have a better name because we are going back to work. And man, does it feel good. So we're calling it the Back to Work Box. So check out our Back to Work box, which we have prepared just for you. Thank you, viewers. It's got a nice rugged toolbox. It's easy to carry with you. And it is jam-packed, and I mean jam-packed full of goodies. Let's just go through this real quick. I mean, this thing is loaded. It's about a $250 value, and we're making it available to you for only $150 while our supplies last because we want to help you get back to work. Think about it as our little stimulus package. So I feel like Alan will insert a joke there too.
Yes, I'm sure there will be
more goodies in here. So really quick, I'll just try to cover some highlights for you. If you'll bear with me a quick sec. In no particular order, I'm just grabbing stuff out of here. We got a spare mic clip. Never know when you're going to need one of those. We've got a battery tester. Tests different sizes of batteries, so you know if that battery is good or not.
Excellent.
We've talked about these on lots of shows. And I've said it's one of those things that everybody should have. So we're putting an assortment in here for you of
fuses. Dun, dun, dun. There they are.
Fuses. There's I don't even know how many put in there, 500 fuses in here. Technically, there's probably 1,000 parts in here. I don't know. Anyway, a couple of inexpensive and lightweight cables that are just sort of the cable. Mm-hmm. Here's a 3.5 millimeter to dual RCA, and here is a 3.5 millimeter to 3.5 millimeter. You just never know. Yes. More on that in a minute. Some mic sanitizer, because you know what? Listen, it doesn't take a virus to make you need hygiene, right? I mean, honestly, I'm so over the whole COVID thing, but one thing that I haven't missed is cleaning gross microphones. So, yeah, I mean, all the stories I could tell. Best man speeches where they're really tanked and then they stick the microphone in their mouth and hit the gag reflex and then they barf on your mic and you're like, really?
Ew.
It happened to me more than I care to admit.
Ew.
So maybe I just had bad luck with best man speeches.
You must have those wild northern Minnesota parties.
Well, listen, right? The further north you go, the further south you get, right? I mean, we know how to party up here. So the southern rednecks got nothing on us northern rednecks. So anyway, all right, check this out. Because we talk a lot about safety on this show and you just never know, your very own first aid kit. And it's got all kinds of goodies in there for your various boo-boos and, anyway, so.
Yeah.
You could practically perform surgery. No, you can't. This thing, I love this thing. I would love to take credit for this, but Kat actually gets credit for this. It even has a laser beam, freaking laser beam, but it is like a Swiss Army tool. You've got a knife and a saw blade in case you need to cut down a tree at a gig. You don't know about these kind of things, right?
Yep.
You've got a bottle opener. That's handy, right? But anyway, all kinds of screwdriver attachments and other goodies in here. It has a flashlight, which is really nice. The first aid kit's for in case if you cut yourself with the
knife,
the fancy knife there. But I love this part. Check it out. It has a socket driver. So you've even got some sockets on here, some nut drivers that you can put on there. Really just kind of an all-in-one. Oh, I need to fix my stuff. Kind of handy.
Yeah.
We're just in the lid. We haven't even got into the box yet. So let's get into the box. Oh, yeah. I'm excited about this. And, I want to start gushing about it. Zip ties. Got to have some zip ties. Yep. I will tell you, too, that these were all hand-bagged by my children. And I am not the least bit sorry about using child labor to help keep your costs down. So there you go. Zip ties hand-bagged by my children.
Excellent.
They needed something to do.
Yeah, exactly. They want to eat. Come on. Get to work.
We got a couple of Y cables going each direction. So there's one. There's another. Because again, you just don't know, right? A foam mic windscreen. In case you need to cover your mic if it gets windy. Check this out. A 25 pack of 8-inch and 11-inch cable ties. Holy moly. So many adapters.
And that's what you need, because you just never know.
So many adapters. I'm not even going to go over the whole list because it basically lets you plug just about anything into anything. Now, of course, as we always say, just because it fits in a hole doesn't mean it belongs there, but there's still lots of options in here. And this one.
Always say that in our show.
Special thanks to Rachel Lynch for suggesting this. A 3.5 to 5/8 mic stand adapter.
Oh, yeah.
And I forget who, and I'm so sorry, but somebody shared a link to this on Facebook the other day, and somebody commented and said, that thing alone, I need that. Okay. So good news. It's in there. We want you to get back to work. Some UL listed electrical tape, like 5 or 6 feet of double stick adhesive Velcro. I don't know how much there's a lot anyway. Package of 100 disposable mic covers. Once again, forget about respiratory viruses for a while. I think we'd all like to forget about that for a while. I do not miss cleaning lipstick off my microphones.
Yep.
Think of these things are great. And then, of course, roll of gaff tape.
Dun, dun, dun. There it is,
Can't
Jimmy.
go wrong. So you can order these off of our site. We have made up a limited number of them. If they are as popular as we think, we may make some more, but I'm not making any promises. So if you want to get one, you best just get one now. I have no idea how to get all this stuff back in here. Like, how does it fit? Like, there's so much stuff in here.
Yeah, get your child labor thing going on. They'll figure it out.
Yes, we are packaging these things now, and hopefully we'll have these ready to ship in about a week. So get your order in now, and hopefully next week there's more. I'm sorry, there's still more stuff. I already stuffed it all back in here. There's a 5-in-1 charging cable for your phone. It's USB to every kind of phone connection. Nice. Lightning, USB-C, USB micro. So need to charge your phone in a pinch because you know you do. And a Sharpie. There's a Sharpie, and I think there's even something else. Anyway, haven't you seen enough? Did you click buy yet?
If not, I just put the link in the chat so everyone can go out there and check it out.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, there's the picture of the cable and the Sharpie and everything.
There's just a ton of stuff in here. Just gobs and gobs of goodies in here. So
Thomas Shaw, you need a college degree to rebox that thing.
Surprisingly, it's going together better than I thought. It's coming back. I got it all back in here, and there's a little room in case you want to add more. There it is, all back in there.
Woo! There it is. The link is in the chat for those of you who are on the live chat. If you are watching this YouTube video later, it's in the description of the video where you can click out to go to the NLFX Pro website and get the Back to Work box.
I didn't get it all back in there. There's still more stuff. There's so much stuff in there.
No, the moat, Bill, there's no moat in there.
No, but do get you a moat, and you could maybe get it in here.
So somebody asked the other day, are the moats in stock again?
They are. Okay. Yeah, we have about 500 of them in stock right now, so we're good for a little bit. So get your moat on the way, get your Back to Work box on the way. And
you're going to be good for the...
And we have another exciting product coming out in a couple months. I'd love to leak that, but I'll just say stay tuned. Keep watching on Tuesday. Sooner or later, I won't be able to contain myself anymore, I'll tell you.
It'll be like that Progressive commercial where I can't say it. I gotta go. Yeah, it'll be there. It is.
That's how I feel. That it's so hard to be privy to secrets because I love my friends in the industry so much that, I want to tell you everything. Like I feel like we shouldn't have secrets, and sometimes I'm contractually bound to not tell you. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense to tell you until things are, developed enough. And that's the case with this latest product. So once I can show you, I will.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that. Let's see. Somebody shared the link, the chill room. Brian and Jay are going to be coming up in just a few minutes in the chill room, djntv.com/chill. You guys can go out there and hang out tonight. They're going to record a little session and then hang out for the rest of the evening and talk shop, music, whatever else you guys want to hit tonight in the chill room. And then we'll be back again. Probably we're going to get a couple of shows in a row here, I think, if we can, with our schedules. And then it'll get to spring and people will be out gardening and, playing badminton in the backyard and having a good time.
Man, I can't wait. It was nice out today. It's been nice out last couple of days. It's just, in fact, right before the show, we were doing a video shoot for our university, and it was at a church. They're doing their opera, some video scenes there, and I was helping with the audio recording. And one of the problems the video crew was wondering about was how much light would be coming through the windows because the scene calls for a lot of dark. And I thought, what a great problem to have. At 7 p.m., we're worried if it's going to be too light. You know what? I'll take that. I'm so ready for summer. I'm so ready for both the literal and metaphorical spring after COVID. Again, cautionary note, please don't celebrate too early, all right? We still got to finish this game. So, don't start playing prevent defense. Don't blow the lead we have. Keep doing the responsible stuff, people, because we're winning this thing. But the end is near. You can tell, you can see it, you can sense it. That we're going to be on the upside of this thing really soon. Closing time, right? Let's get the job done. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to be talking about all kinds of concerts and festivals and weddings and things this summer. So yeah, man, I think, John, I don't know. I haven't, I don't want to do like revisionist history, but I think if you go back and look at our shows from a year ago or 11 months ago, we didn't know exactly the time, but we called this. Our industry is going to be busier than ever before. If you're not experiencing it yet, you will, because I'm talking to people from all over the country and different markets are opening at different rates. Mm-hmm. Friends, you just best be ready. I think 21 is going to be great, and I think 22 is going to be insane.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking like that's what's coming, and I think it's just a question of once people get that word that we are clear, not just going down, but we're in the clear, and it's like pretty much over. Yeah, it'll be crazy. We're
already seeing it. August, I'm not going to have time to eat lunch. It's just, I think everybody feels like that's, you and I have been trying to figure out a weekend to take our families camping, and it's really hard to turn down, calls from tours and things. But that's something too we talked about. Just going to have to do it. Just going to say, you know what? No, I'm not working this weekend. I got plans.
Yeah, just have to make those plans. So once again, thank you guys for being with us. Jump out djntv.com/chill for that. And if you want to get the Back to Work box, it's in the description or in the chat, whichever way you can find that. Click on that, check it out, and we will catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.